everyone. My name is Geneva Claxton, and I'm a member of the worship team here at the First Apostolic Church. And I want to personally welcome you to our online worship experience. If you're a first-time guest here, we want to say thank you so much for joining us. We would like to invite you to our in-person worship service on Sundays at 2 p.m. and on Wednesdays at 7. We also invite you to like our Facebook and Instagram pages. Today's experience consists of a few minutes of worship and a small message from our pastor. We encourage you to get involved with the church and feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions or prayer requests. We look forward to interacting with you, and we hope this experience blesses you and your family.
Grace. We sing about it, we preach about it, and the Bible speaks much of grace. It says Noah found grace in the eyes of God. And God told Moses that he had found grace in the sight of God and that he knew him by name. Paul called grace a gift that's made available by Jesus Christ. The modern day Christian writer Max Lucado said, God answers the mess of life with one word, and that's grace. Another writer said it this way, grace can neither be bought, earned, or won by the creature. If it could be, it would cease to be grace. One other quote that I really like by Philip Yancey, and this is the one I want to focus on today, says, grace like water flows to the lowest part. I want to speak to you for just a minute about grace and how it is found in unlikely places. Unlikely places. Just when you need it most, grace shows up. Grace shows up in the most unlikely places. It's kind of like love. Love becomes its greatest when it's extended to the most unlovable. And compassion is the warmest when it's expressed to those who are unable to return its favor. So grace appears in the most unlikely of places. It appears to the undeserving, the unknowing, the broken, the rejected, and the hopeless. And hey, we've all been there. We know exactly about all of those things. That's where grace shows up. Grace shines the brightest in the darkest night. There's a preacher from New York, a pastor, Norman Vincent Peale. Maybe you've heard of him. He tells the story of walking in front of a tattoo parlor in Hong Kong at one point. And displayed in the window of this tattoo parlor, he saw samples of the various tattoos that were available. And they ranged from the simple, like the anchors and flags and those that you see quite often, to the more elaborate concepts of tattoos. But there was one that caught his eye and caught his attention, and it just struck him, and it was this three single syllable words: born to lose, born to lose. And it so caught his attention that he entered the store or the shop and pointed to the window to the guy that was there doing the tattoo artist, and he said, does anybody really have that terrible phrase tattooed onto their body, born to lose? Does anybody really buy that tattoo? And the answer came back, yeah, they do. He said, I just can't believe anyone would choose that phrase to place on their body. And the artist, who was not English was his second language, tapped his forehead in response to Mr. Lucato's question. And he said in broken English, before tattoo on body, tattoo on mind. Many people, because of their life condition, have labeled themselves as broken. You know, many people have labeled themselves, I'm hopeless. I just have nothing to offer, and no one could care about me. And they go through their lives with this label that they placed on their own lives. Born to lose. I'm born to lose. You know, we do live in a world that's consumed with appearances and optics, and we find that everything that we see has kind of been photo edited. It's been edited to appear better than what it really is. On social media, pictures are edited and photoshopped, and the appearance is much better than the reality. And you know, many people look at that environment and they come to the conclusion that they could never measure up to that illusion of perfection. In their own eyes, they could never be good enough. They could never be successful enough to be accepted. Just lost, hopeless, born to lose. Well, the Bible tells us of a story of a man named Mephibosheth. Now, Mephibosheth was the grandson of King Saul. He was the son of Jonathan. And the scripture tells us that David, whenever he became king, wanted to show favor to the household of Saul. And he asked, is there anyone that's still around that I can show favor to? And the caretaker for Mephibosheth said to King David, yes, there's a son of Jonathan. And he used this term to describe the son of Jonathan. He said, there is a son of Jonathan that's still around that you could show favor to. He is lame on his feet. Lame on his feet. Now, Mephibosheth, when he was a baby, was dropped. He was dropped by his caretaker, fell on his legs, broke his legs, and was lame from that point on. He could not walk. Now, in those days, if you couldn't walk, you couldn't work, you couldn't provide. There was not the advantages that are given to someone in that condition today. And so Mephibosheth was just that person that was really felt like there was just nothing for him to do. And he was described and labeled as lame on his feet. When he was later introduced to King David, he told King David, why would you care about someone like me who is no better than, and here's the term he used, a dead dog. You see, Mephibosheth had lived with this mentality for so long, he labeled himself as someone who was hopeless, someone who nobody could care about. He was born to lose. Now, there are many people today that have broken relationships, addictions, bad choices that leave them broken. And they apply these labels to themselves and mark themselves off as hopeless. But you know, today I'm here to tell you that's where grace shines the brightest. In the darkest of places, in the darkest of opinions of ourselves, that's where grace shines the brightest. It shows up in the most unlikely places. That's grace. Now, David proclaimed from that day forward, he wanted to show favor to the household of Saul. From that day forward, Mephibosheth, this grandson of Saul, this son of Jonathan, would receive all that belonged to his grandfather. In other words, he would be very wealthy. He would receive all the lands and the benefits and the wealth that was given to, that was his grandfather's. And one more thing, he would always eat at the king's table. He would eat at the king's table, King David's table. He would be there every time King David came in to eat. Mephibosheth would be there. And this man who is in his own mind was broken and hopeless and was just useless for anybody, he was shown great favor and great love by King David. Now, that is grace in unlikely places. He was shown grace. You know, the Bible tells us in Romans chapter 5 and verse 8, but God commendeth his love toward us that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. You know, you don't have to be a perfect person to receive the love and the favor of God. He loves us even when we are sinners. One person said it this way, His grace lifts us in spite of ourselves. It moves our feet on the conveyor belt of promise, even as we cling to our nagging doubts and unbelief. Grace searches the dark places. It finds the broken and the hurting, the poor in spirit, and restores them to a place of fellowship with the King. It's grace. Grace shows up in unlikely places. Now, you may have labeled yourself today as damaged, hopeless, broken, born to lose. But Jesus Christ, I'm here to tell you, Jesus Christ today loves you in your condition. And His grace will reach into the most unlikely of conditions and places to lift you up to a place of fellowship at the King's table. Don't resist grace today. Embrace it, receive it, and allow it to lift you to a higher place. I'm praying for you today. I love you, and I'm looking forward to the next time we can be together. God bless.